We have an incredible match now up on stage. It is a mirror. You know, it's like I'm looking in a mirror. Or I always mess up the lyrics to that song. These are the nearly same exact teams. Slight differences here. Shadow jump left versus non-shadow jump left. And although you can't see it right now, I believe those Lapras movesets are just a little bit different.
Correct. The one on the side of OutOfPoket is going to fare much better in this mirror match because OutOfPoket's Lapras is running Skull Bash. That's going to give it a massive advantage when running against the Lapras on the side of NiteTimeClasher that is just running Sparkling Aria and Ice Beam.
And you'll have to see if that is the key thing for Pocket in this matchup. Will we ever see that mirror match? Or will we see a mirrored long list of accomplishments from both of these trainers? Of course, we only saw 4 there, but I know that the list is much longer than that. Here we go. This is the losers finals to secure top 2 here in Milwaukee. Tinkaton mirror match. Here we go.
And this could come down to the Pokemon that they have in the back. So we can see Tinkaton leads on the field, but NiteTimeClasher has that Shadow Jump Bluff where OutOfPoket has the Lapras, and OutOfPoket's Lapras does not have Ice Beam.
OutOfPoket throwing the Bulldoze first, so we do not actually see who wins the charge attack tie. It's going to lower the defense of the opposing Tinkaton. Another Bulldoze coming through. Will we see a mirror drop? No, OutOfPoket able to sustain the hit and not have his defense lowered.
NiteTimeClasher choosing to bank a lot of that energy before swapping into his Shadow Jump Bluff. Now, typically, this is not a great matchup for the Jump Bluff. I think it does help, though, that this Tinkaton's been softened up a little bit on the opposing side.
Second Play Rough is loaded, thrown at the same time as the Acrobatics was loaded for NiteTimeClasher. However, NiteTime opting for an additional Fairwind instead, shielding up the Play Rough. Will Pocket pivot, or will he stay in? He's staying in. Acrobatics loaded is not going to be enough to knock out this Tinkaton.
No, it is not. So OutOfPoket has some decisions to make. The Tinkaton is going to withstand, and OutOfPoket looks like he's willing to stay in, even though this Aerial Ace would be enough to knock out.
Aerial Ace is going to be the cheaper move, the choice for NiteTimeClasher here. Going to be able to pick up the knockout. What will Pocket come in with? It is going to be that Lapras so that it can get these Psy Waves through good neutral damage into the Grass and Flying type of Jump Bluff.
Yeah, I thought this Jump Bluff was going to do a little bit worse into the Lapras matchup, considering OutOfPoket's Lapras doesn't have that Ice Beam, but it looks pretty solid right now because it is going to get to... It did get to
the Sparkling Aria.
It did get to the Sparkling Aria.
Yeah, Sparkling Aria coming through, going to be able to knock out the Jump Bluff. It is resisted, but the Shadow type will take a little bit more damage from it. In comes the Tinkaton. It has a Play Rough loaded. Going to throw that now into the Lapras. Lapras, very bulky Pokemon, happy to no shield.
Lapras certainly bulky, and we see OutOfPoket reaching for the swap to bring in the Shadow for Alligator, but NiteTimeClasher has his own Shadow for Alligator waiting in the wings. This one is going to have to tank a Play Rough. Does OutOfPoket think it's a bait? He lets the Play Rough through. Shadow for Alligator down really low in health and is put up against the mirror. Shadow for Alligator versus Shadow for Alligator. The spray is flying, and the first one takes a hit.
The question now is, what will OutOfPoket do? Will he throw his move or go for the full farm down or a most farm down? We see the shield come up. This is going to likely be the hardest hitting move, even though it is resisted. Another Sparkling Aria is reached. It's going to not be able to reach the full farm down. Charge attack needs to be thrown, but now NiteTimeClasher can shield here and has the Hydro Cannon loaded, and I think it'll be really close, if not able to knock out the Lapras on the far end of the field.
Yeah, I think this Hydro Cannon should potentially be enough. Let's go ahead and see. Looks like, yes, it was just barely enough to knock out, and Shadow for Alligator takes an early win. NiteTimeClasher up 1-0, but remember, we are in the losers finals. This is a best of 5. So can OutOfPoket turn this around? I was really anticipating the Lapras to do not as well in that matchup, but it just didn't get aligned where we saw that Lapras mirror. Is kind of what I wanted to say to get to, like, across earlier.
And I think the unfortunate thing for Pocket there was the Feraligatr just wasn't able to do enough work in that end game not able to really threaten NiteTimeClasher's own Feraligatr and unable to get to the move onto this Tinkaton to pick up a potential knockout as well. Playrough going through, sealed the deal, allowed NiteTimeClasher to very comfortably no-shield this Hydro Cannon and get a full Shadow Claw down.
Our trainers are locked in and ready to go. A singular Malamar staring on at the desk. Let's go ahead and see. And this is the mirror that I was anticipating earlier. And NiteTimeClasher immediately swapping out, recognizing that his Lapras is going to lose that every single time. Now we have the Jumpluff coming in. This is much rather where the Jumpluff would be. It can accumulate some of those Fairy Winds and as well as take a lot of these foul plays on the chin, no problem.
Pocket having 2 Pokemon in the backline, really solid answers for this Malamar. The Jumpluff coming in also had the potentially better answer with the Tinkaton able to resist the foul plays and only take neutral damage from the superpowers. However, maybe making a line read here and not expecting a Shadow Feraligatr in the back, even though both trainers had brought it to game number 1.
The foul play lands, taking Jumpluff down into the yellow. It's not quite in the red yet. And OutOfPoket actually throwing an Aerial Ace one before getting to the Acrobatics. NiteTimeClasher recognizing this and knowing that he doesn't have to shield.
Yeah, Aerial Ace not going to be enough to knock out. Foul play is loaded. Going for the catch now onto the Tinkaton. Foul play going to be resisted due to the Fairy typing on that Tinkaton. And I have to imagine we'll see a pivot out from NiteTimeClasher after maybe throwing a superpower.
Yeah, throwing the superpower, allowing yourself to be attack and defense dropped before swapping out. I'm guessing into the Lapras because now OutOfPoket is stuck in this matchup for a little while. He can't pivot into his own Lapras for maybe like 20 more seconds. So this is a great opportunity for NiteTimeClasher to utilize this Pokemon.
Polaroff coming through, going to do meaningful chip damage here. However, this chip damage is less meaningful onto NiteTimeClasher's Lapras, as you had called out. Skull Bash does so much neutral damage, Lapras into Lapras. It's pretty close, maybe just a little bit shy of picking up a knockout at this point. However, the addition of the Psy Waves might make it be just enough.
And NiteTimeClasher was able to knock out the Tinkaton and going for just a little bit of chip damage onto the opposing Lapras. His own Tinkaton has quite a bit of work to do, has to get through this entire Lapras and 2 Protect Shields.
The thing for OutOfPoket here that's really great is that this Skull Bash going through is going to raise the defense for the Lapras for potentially the rest of the game. He has a catch opportunity, but I don't think he'll necessarily go for it right away. In comes the Malamar. Malamar now triple resisting the Psy Waves, going into the Tinkaton in order to try to catch, but unable to do so. That extra energy on NiteTimeClasher's Malamar may prove key in the endgame.
This is still anybody's match. It is not over yet. NiteTimeClasher getting to the play rough, but however, OutOfPoket able to fire off the Sparkling Aria first. NiteTimeClasher has decided this is an efficient use of my shield. I need to protect the health on my Tinkaton. OutOfPoket has 2 shields remaining, and actually NiteTimeClasher going for the Bulldoze, recognizing maybe that it's not the play rough.
Fairy Winds coming through. It's 2 shields remaining for OutOfPoket. He needs to start throwing up those shields, no shielding the first Bulldoze, knowing that if there was a defense drop, a future Bulldoze would do more damage, going to be able to almost reach another Sparkling Aria. Instead, NiteTimeClasher just barely sneaking in this superpower, chooses to no shield, potentially going for a Fairy Wind down with that Jumpluff in the back.
And Jumpluff's already at an Aerial Ace. It's going to make it to an Acrobatics. NiteTimeClasher does not have a shield. This is a regular Jumpluff. It is not a Shadow, so this Acrobatics is not going to do as much damage.
Will he need a second Acrobatics, or will he just need an Aerial Ace? It looks like he needs the Acrobatics. Reaching the Aerial Ace just in time, throws it, but I don't think this is going to be enough damage.
We'll have to see. Can Tinkaton hang on just long enough to throw 1 additional Fairy Wind? And it can. The Fairy Wind damage actually applied, and that is a win for NiteTimeClasher.
Really tough game there for OutOfPoket. Really not having great position to utilize his shields. He had to use them for that Bulldoze, and one still remaining on the field of play was necessary to make sure that NiteTimeClasher's own Tinkaton couldn't get to a charged attack at that endgame, but not enough health remaining on Pocket's Pokemon in order to get a fast attack down or to reach that final Acrobatics.
This match has kept me on the edge of my seat. OutOfPoket and NiteTimeClasher have both been playing to all of their win conditions. Let's check out that replay. Tinkaton throwing the bulldoze, actually not going for the play rough. I was a little surprised to see the bulldoze, but OutOfPoket recognized it, did not use a protect shield. This end game is so fascinating. The jump left being able to go all the way down, but this aerial ace just not being quite enough.
One or two more fairy wins would have secured OutOfPoket that game. The thinnest of margins here in the losers finals. This is a best of 5, so now OutOfPoket's back is up against the wall. These two trainers have been silly goofballs all day, but it is all serious here now on stage. Game number 3 in losers finals.
Shadow for Alligator meets up with the Tinkaton, and it looks like the trainers are willing to stick this out. Both trainers bringing their Lapras in the back. NiteTimeClasher has that Malamar, and here we see the swap into the Diggersby, making the catch of the Bulldoze. Let's see, though. OutOfPoket might be stuck with the Diggersby that's been debuffed.
In comes the Bulldoze, does not get the debuff. Two sideways users in the back for NiteTimeClasher. In comes the Malamar, access to super effective superpower here.
But OutOfPoket getting to that Scorching Sands first, and it is going to land on NiteTimeClasher's Malamar, taking it down to the red. And here is a debuff, an attack fall on the superpower. That is unfortunate.
A second debuff going to be coming through after this superpower lands, lowering the attack and the defense of this Malamar. Looks like potentially the next superpower might not knock out. Fire Punch actually loaded and thrown by OutOfPoket, potentially threatening a knockout. It's not same type attack bonus, but it was recently buffed to do a little bit more damage and does pick up that knockout.
Yeah, having that defense fall was probably critical in that Fire Punch knocking out. And here we have both Lapras stuck in here for a moment, and NiteTimeClasher switching out immediately as soon as his switch clock was available, not wanting to tank a Skull Bash on his own Lapras.
Sparkling Aria coming through for OutOfPoket, going to do a little bit of chip damage. However, no shield from NiteTimeClasher makes so much sense. There is that Shadow for Alligator in the back, and Hydro Cannon from a Shadow for Alligator does so much more damage than Sparkling Aria.
Play Rough is shielded here, and NiteTimeClasher still has 2 Protect Shields and a very healthy Lapras. Lapras seems to have a couple Protect Shields just built into its body. It is so bulky. I'm really interested to see, can OutOfPoket chew through all of that defense?
A second Sparkling Aria now fired off. 2 shields pulled from NiteTimeClasher. I believe OutOfPoket still has 1 remaining, so it's going to be really tough for him. He goes for a switch into his own Lapras. Now, Sparkling Aria coming through. This is resisted damage. No shield from Pocket makes a ton of sense. He can take 2, if not 3, before he's even threatened to be knocked out.
Yeah, and Pocket still has that very healthy Shadow for Alligator and the Diggersby. NiteTimeClasher gets to another Sparkling Aria. OutOfPoket still knows he doesn't quite need to shield yet, and his own Lapras has a bunch of energy. It's going to make it to the Skull Bash, and Skull Bash is thrown. NiteTimeClasher out of Protect Shields. This is going to connect.
Skull Bash going to come through. I have to imagine OutOfPoket's going to pivot into his Feraligatr soon after. No, actually going for one more Psywave, then the Hydro Cannon. Still a shield there. How much energy does NiteTimeClasher have on his Tinkaton? Will he be able to get a bait with the Bulldoze and a Play Rough launch? No, instead just going straight for the Play Rough. No shield from Pocket makes a lot of sense. I don't think it's going to be quite enough to knock out, but had it been a Bulldoze bait, then a Play Rough after would have done a lot of damage. Fairy Winds, is it enough damage to knock out? No! Hydro Cannon coming through, picking up the secured game number 3 victory for OutOfPoket.
Can OutOfPoket keep this momentum going? He needs to win 2 more to stay in this tournament. NiteTimeClasher only needs to bring himself back, get 1 more win to put himself up in the grand finals. OutOfPoket has had an incredibly long run in the losers bracket today. He has been fighting, he's had a ton of practice. NiteTimeClasher's just kind of been waiting in the wings. He's been in the winner's side for almost the entire day, just dropping his first matches, his first games of the whole tournament up against Snots.
Yeah, it's an impressive run from NiteTimeClasher for sure. There are very few trainers who've been able to make it all the way through day 1 without dropping a game. Well, I could say let alone a match, but there are usually 4 or 8 people who make it through day number 1 without dropping a match.
Yes, so NiteTimeClasher made it all the way through day 1 and almost all of day 2 without dropping a single game. But here, the competition gets tough. OutOfPoket leads in with the Diggersby. NiteTimeClasher has to immediately pivot into the Malamar. He has that Lapras in the back. Maybe that will provide him a little bit of neutral play into that Malamar and into the, I believe it's the Tinkaton in the back.
Yeah, I like this play from OutOfPoket, pivoting into the Tinkaton after throwing the Scorching Sands, ensuring that this match is going to be super simple for him to convert. The superpower comes through from the Malamar from NiteTimeClasher. It's going to do good, reasonable, neutral damage, but now that the attack is dropped, the second one won't do quite as much damage.
Yeah, it's going to take, it's not even going to put Tinkaton down into the red. It's still pretty healthily in the yellow. There'll need to be a little bit more damage applied. NiteTimeClasher has to make a decision. Does he hold on to the Malamar? He actually just waits out the full timer, decides not to use a Protect Shield before switching in his next Pokemon. And he is going to wait out the clock a little bit longer before sending in Lapras, which makes a lot of sense here.
The benefit for OutOfPoket here is the switch clock is more or less up now. He could pivot out if he wants to, but I have to imagine he will opt for switch advantage here, given that he does have Malamar in the back. He actually was able to pull a shield there, going to be forced to let this Tinkaton go before getting another charge attack off because of a great timing throw by NiteTimeClasher.
That shield, though, was a really good shield because OutOfPoket did throw the Play Rough. So that is one of the heavier hitting attacks that is left in the game. But that was the first Protect Shield of this game number 4.
Charge attack tie, it looks like here. Play Rough coming from NiteTimeClasher's Tinkaton at the same time as a Scorching Sands from the Diggersby. We'll have to see if it was a tie or if it was one turn off. No, it was a tie. Scorching Sands going to do a lot of good neutral damage, or excuse me, super effective damage into Tinkaton. Looks almost like neutral damage based on how little damage it actually did.
Yeah, Diggersby just not an attack-weighted Pokemon, so Scorching Sands isn't as threatening. However, this Scorching Sands would probably be enough to knock out, which is why NiteTimeClasher has to put up a Protect Shield. We see Lapras in the back. Both trainer switch timers are coming very, very close, and both will be available after this Play Rough is thrown.
I think OutOfPoket is potentially hoping that his Diggersby survives this attack. It does, and I would like for him to switch into the Malamar so that he retains the Diggersby in the end to reset the attack drops from these superpowers. This looks like an Ice Beam coming through, no shielded by OutOfPoket. This is going to be the harder hitting, more energy move, taking the Malamar into the yellow. However, Psywaves basically do no damage to this Malamar as they are triple resisted.
So, OutOfPoket shielding the Sparkling Aria instead, and we're about halfway through the switch timer. So OutOfPoket has the potential to throw this superpower and eventually switch out into the Diggersby to reset the debuffs. It's both an attack and in a defense drop. And NiteTimeClasher just kind of letting the Lapras go. No Protect Shields remaining.
Yes, he has no option but to let it go. Superpower coming through, one attack drop now. The Psywave down is now going to occur, and that is going to be game number 2 secured for OutOfPoket. Now we have a decisive game number 5. The momentum has really swung away from NiteTimeClasher. OutOfPoket has recognized some of his better win conditions in these games and has found really great alignment with that Diggersby.
Decisive game number 5 here in the losers finals. It is going to be the end of the road after this next game for either NiteTimeClasher or OutOfPoket. The other will go to face Snots in the grand finals. So who do we think this is going to be? Momentum is a big deal, and right now momentum is on the side of OutOfPoket. But NiteTimeClasher has been playing out of his mind today. As NiteTimeClasher would say, it is 50-50 right now on who would win, either him or OutOfPoket. So we are going to have to see. NiteTimeClasher loves that kind of a coin flip.
And maybe NiteTimeClasher will take a bit of advice from his brother and pray for those debuffs. Trainers are still thinking about their teams. This is an incredibly important battle for both of these trainers, as this is the losers finals. They are vying for top 2 for a right to go for the championship run at this regional championship in Milwaukee.
And as our trainers take a moment, you can see OutOfPoket maybe taking a moment to breathe, thinking through his win conditions, making a decision, and really just trying to decide, what am I going to put in my line of 3. What do I think NiteTimeClasher is going to run?
It almost looks like he's, based on from our perspective, just randomly tapping Pokemon and randomly assigning a team. I have to imagine that after he's done doing that, he will actually decide a team of 3 to use that is not completely random.
This is a massive decision. End of the tournament for one of these trainers. I am really looking forward to see. You mentioned OutOfPoket has been doing really great with the Diggersby. I have to imagine that it's going to be coming back in this game number 5, but it's a matter of what you are going to pair with it.
I do want to comment as to why I think he's bringing the Diggersby a lot. It's because NiteTimeClasher really can't focus on his own Lapras. Because the Lapras loses the mirror match, it's not a safe Pokemon for NiteTimeClasher to bring, whereas it's much safer for OutOfPoket.
And here it is, decisive game 5. We've got Shadow Jumpluff into Tinkaton. This is a much better matchup for the Tinkaton, as we found out time and time again today. But it looks like NiteTimeClasher welcome to stay in. And as you pointed out, Alpha Phoebe, Lapras is nowhere to be found on the side of NiteTimeClasher.
Yeah, I think a really great adjustment from NiteTimeClasher, really taking some learnings from his opponent OutOfPoket, bringing the Diggersby himself this time. And if we're looking at the backlines, that Malamar is looking to be really well slated against the 2 Pokemon that take super effective damage from those superpowers.
Perhaps this is going to be the time that Malamar really shines. OutOfPoket left his own Malamar on the bench. Maybe it's something he will come to regret. NiteTimeClasher actually putting up a OutOfPoket actually putting up a Protect Shield, saving his Tinkaton from that acrobatics.
Play Rough coming through, going to threaten a knockout into the Shadow Jumpluff. A shield coming up in return from NiteTimeClasher. Looks like the next acrobatics will be loaded before the next Play Rough. Acrobatics is going to be just shy of picking a knockout, so OutOfPoket has the opportunity to win this matchup in the 1 shield scenario.
And there is that final Play Rough. Is NiteTimeClasher going to let it go? Actually decides to invest in the Shadow Jumpluff. So we've been seeing this a lot from NiteTimeClasher today, going in all shields in early in the match.
Attempted catch on the Fire Punch there onto the Diggersby, instead switching in his own for a Scorching Sands. Hopefully no debuff for NiteTimeClasher. It does not occur.
Diggersby versus Diggersby. The switch timers are slightly misaligned. OutOfPoket is going to have a switch opportunity just slightly before NiteTimeClasher does. NiteTimeClasher going for the Scorching Sands. Remember, Scorching Sands does have a chance to debuff, and there it is, an attack fall on the side of OutOfPoket.
Lady Luck is maybe on his side. Scorching Sands coming through once again. This is not going to be enough to threaten a knockout. OutOfPoket does have the opportunity to switch into his Lapras at this point. Another one comes through, but not super consequential given the fact that Pocket's going to pivot out. Another Scorching Sands is coming in from NiteTimeClasher. Will we see another attack drop?
Not 3 for 3, but that is okay. NiteTimeClasher bringing back in that Shadow Jumpluff to try to get as much damage done as possible. Throws an Aerial Ace and manages to draw the final Protect Shield of the match. This is it. Game number 5. All attacks are going to hit from here on out. OutOfPoket throwing the Sparkling Aria, maybe thinking he's not going to be able to get that Psy Wave down, just clearing the Jumpluff out of the way, and here comes Malamar with super effective superpower.
Yeah, an interesting choice there from OutOfPoket. Could have potentially gotten the full farm down, but would have taken an Aerial Ace for his troubles. However, with Malamar in the back, we see the Sparkling Aria come through. Immediate switch into the Diggersby. Scorching Sand is loaded. I don't think this is going to be quite enough to pick up a knockout, but it's going to be quite close. No, not quite enough, and a Superpower is loaded, but not before a Fire Punch comes through.
It's not a Fire Punch, it's a Scorching Sands, just really going all out, making sure that Malamar goes down, and then here comes that finals Diggersby. I don't think NiteTimeClasher's Diggersby has what it takes in order to get through. It has to get through this Diggersby, and then it has to get through a Tinkaton, and then it has to get through a Lapras. That is a lot to ask for a Diggersby that is just going to get into the red right about now.
And I think this Lapras is going to be outside of Scorching Sands range. Scorching Sands coming through. It's going to be quite close. Those quick attacks were adding up quite a bit, and this is a same type attack bonus move. Scorching Sands does not pick up the knockout. knockout. Sparkling Aria is loaded, and that is going to be game number 5 going to OutOfPoket.
OutOfPoket catapulting himself into the grand finals. We are going to have OutOfPoket versus Snots.
It's going to be an intense matchup there.